Thank you, Anita. And I'm very blessed to be among this elite group of advisors this evening. I think it was a great start to the evening, and I'm going to say that I'm surprised at the turnout. I did not actually expect this when I was asked to maybe present a bit. Right, so I was given the subject of investments and goal setting, and obviously it's not something I can talk about in 5 minutes or even 10. I can try. My background is I am Guyanese, but I grew up in Canada. Family moved there in the 70s, early 70s. I became a stockbroker in 1988. And I was a stockbroker, portfolio manager, doing a lot of what was said this evening for about 24 years. Exiting the business in 2012 and migrating to Guyana to look at investing in mining operation, mining deal. One of our biggest projects that we've financed since 2010 was the Oh My Gold Mines, and that's off to a huge success in terms of recent press releases and so forth. In my days as a stockbroker, portfolio manager, financial advisor, in starting in that business, and I'm going to date myself a bit here because when I started in 1988, I was recruited by a firm, and essentially there was no internet. The firm I was with, there was 54 brokers. Totally, the company has over 1,000, and what we had was 3 desktop computers and phone books. So essentially, it was a period of time where you would have to build your clientele, which would require very long hours because we were entrepreneurs. We're paid by commission, so either you're selling or you're not eating. And essentially, it was a tough period. But what it did do is allow you to look at a lot of what was said this evening in terms of focusing, in terms of setting goals, in terms of long hours until you arrive at where you have to arrive. In those periods, the capital market, financial markets, as Minister Charles has alluded to, in terms of where one would invest, it's very different because obviously here in Guyana we don't really have a capital market. Tremendous changes have to take place in the banking world and the security world for you to have the kind of opportunities in investing that one would have maybe in North America or Europe. The reality is that I think that is coming. We've seen the change to the real estate law, which created huge opportunity for investing for things like hotels or some of these condominiums or apartments that people can invest in and build. I think those are new opportunities. And it's important to learn with what's available in the marketplace in terms of investing because of what's coming. So I think those markets are going to open up in the next 3 to 5 years. I think Guyana is in a position where it has to achieve in the next 3 to 5 years what some countries will take 50 years to do. So there's a compressed period of a lot that has to get done, when at the same time, so the amount of information, the amount of opportunity, the amount of things that you can do is just moving at a very fast pace. And when I was an investment or a portfolio manager, I was one of the persons sitting with 4 screens on my desk with Bloomberg reports. We have to be up early in the morning, 6 a.m. We have to catch on the overseas news, the financial news in Japan and in Europe, because essentially you needed to be prepared for what's going to happen that day, because we were trading and we were investing. Some recent event here, I think Richard's probably left at GBTI. We saw GBTI launched a mutual fund, and in a mutual fund that gives you access to have a professional managing a pool of money that you can save on a monthly basis into these funds, and that's another way of creating some wealth over a period of time. The stock, I think that's a little bit difficult here. I know they recently launched, and they're a sponsor for this evening's event, where they could set up accounts with, I think it's iTrade, or Interactive Trade, actually, out of the US, where Guyanese are now able to have some access to the kind of investments you would have if you're living in the US or Canada or Europe. I think those are, so you're starting to see some of these products coming about, and it's not well advertised. So I think you have to really become engaged and just look at what's out there, what's available. I want to say a little bit on goal setting. As a young stockbroker, I was 23 years old, and as Minister alluded to, the reason I became a stockbroker is I wanted to make money. You know, I had a job, I was going to university, and I see in the newspaper, I see on television, you know, it's a money world, they're making money, there's a lot of hustling, and that pay seemed exciting, and I didn't think that there was something being done that I couldn't do myself. And so, of course, when this ad was in the newspaper for this particular firm, I answered the ad. And that started that whole career. But you're an entrepreneur, you're hustling, you're working hard, you're sussing out opportunity, you're looking for clients to invest money in the firm, and you grow as that happens. But what that industry does is expose you to a lot of what was covered here this evening in terms of having your positive thinking, confident, goal setting. To me, goal setting was the #1 key in that industry as far as growing your financial assets. At the end of my period in the brokerage business, we managed close to $200 million US, and it took a period of time to grow to that number. And there's a value there, and the earnings that you're making in those periods. The goal setting was ultra important. In terms of setting targets for your clients, setting targets for your asset growth, goal setting in terms of forward looking in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years where you'd like to see yourself, and what you learn through a lot of the seminars and a lot of the leadership weekends that our firm would put on and bring in speakers. There was 2 speakers that I felt that were amazing in terms of who I gravitated to, that shaped some of the decisions that I've made. One of our speakers was a fellow named Jim Rome. Jim Rome, you can Google him, and essentially he had his methodology of how do we stay focused on what we need to do today to achieve what we need to in the next, say, 5, 10, 15 years. And what he would have you do is to sit down, piece of paper, make a list of everything that you ever want to do in life. You know, look forward, what do you want to achieve in life? And then from that particular list, you start breaking that list down, review what you've written, shorten that list to what you feel that you could achieve in the next, say, 20 years from that list. And then from that list, break that down into another, what do you feel you could achieve in the next 10 years based on what you've written? And then from there, break it down to the next 5 years. And on that shorter list, look at what you feel you could do over the next year to maybe 2 years. What that allows you to do is to focus on the things that you need to do today. The reality is so much will happen 20 years from now or 15 years from now, and you as a person will change as you're accumulating wealth, as you're wearing fancier suit, you're driving nicer cars. You as a person will change, and the longer term goal in life, typically something that may be important to you may become less important to you. So goal setting is an important part of wealth creation. The rest of it, Anita, I think you can access, you know, through the YouTube, right? And I truly believe that you need to be goal setting, being hungry. The opportunity in Guyana, to me, is enormous. And when that happens, it's important, like events like this, which we did all the time, It's how we actually grew our client base. A lot of educational seminars, educational books, motivational speakers, and it's amazing that the tools that's available today that we didn't have in those periods.